I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to move on without getting the raw testicle. Here we go.
Brian, thank you so much for having me.
Hell yeah, my man. Having you, thank you for having me, man. This is great. Thank you.
Amazing. So let's start off here. What do you do for a living?
I'm the CEO of the Ancestral Lifestyle. What that really means is that it's my job to make sure that the population at large acknowledges how desperately people are hurting today. I'm going to run through these stats at least this one time if that's okay with you.
Go for it.
4,000 people a day kill themselves. 80,000 people a day try to kill themselves. Our young men are probably hurting the most. Aimless, directionless, visionless, no purpose, no passion, no fight, no unite in life. Our people are struggling today at record rates with depression, anxiety, infertility, autoimmune conditions, low energy, low libido, low ambition in life. And here, this is why it's my job. Like, we got to acknowledge that there's a problem. Nobody's talking about some of these issues publicly. It's like, why are we not talking about the 4,000 people a day that do this, the 80,000 people a day that try to do this? Like, we're hurting at such depth. And we're not talking about this. I'm the guy here talking about this. We got to acknowledge this is a problem. And I'm not here just to be like, hey man, we got a problem, don't know what to do. I believe wholeheartedly with my heart and soul, there's a simple solution to living a kick-ass life. It's called ancestral living, and it starts with liver because liver is king. This is what I do for a living.
That is amazing. So your whole goal is to inspire others and kind of preach that message right there.
Let's recognize there's a problem. There's a simple solution to living a kick-ass life. To preach this message that starts with liver, there's these 9 ancestral tenets, and it's like if you teach somebody 15 different steps to live a better life, they're not going to take maybe any of them away. So I'm like, start with liver because liver is king. Okay. Once you get liver in your life, you're going to feel better, have more drive, more determination, more of the currency of life that's required to go kick ass. I talk about people, this is a problem. Low energy is a problem. And people are like, oh God, it's low energy. You're tired. But this is a problem, man. When you have low energy, can you get out there and do your job at a high level?
I wouldn't say so, no.
And it's not just your professional job, right? It's your other roles and goals as a friend, as a father, as a husband, right? Low energy actually is a massive issue. Start eating liver to get more energy and drive. Start getting the sun on you. For some reason, people are afraid of the sun. We've evolved with the sun since the beginning of time. Get your bare feet connected to the ground. Put the phone away and do what we're doing right now. This kind of electricity. We've always needed each other, and we still do. So there's 9 ancestral tenets, but I hope that you hear me say this 10 times today. Start with liver because liver is king. Most people aren't going to execute on 5 or 6 things at a time, but you can go to the grocery store. You can get yourself a pound of liver.
There we go. So do you eat liver every single day?
With breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Do you get tired of the taste at all?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I do. This is a secret. I'm going to tell everybody. I call it candied liver.
Okay.
It's partially frozen. I put some maple syrup in there, a little bit of sea salt. It's delicious.
Really?
Delicious. So not only do I not get tired of it, but if Liver King Chef Lionel has this over-the-top chainsaw massacre dinner that he's making, sometimes he forgets to bring my liver out. And I'll tell you who's the first person who's going to tell him.
You are?
Liver King Chef Lionel, where's my liver?
Oh my gosh. It looks like he's in the background right here. Do you have liver here?
We don't go anywhere without Liver King Chef Lionel and liver.
Oh wow. Okay, this was not planned. Well, we got liver. Oh my goodness. Testicles. I just had bone marrow for the first time. Testicles, you said? Testicles. Oh my gosh. And do you like the taste of testicles?
No, the testicles, any way you make it. He does make a testicle ceviche, which he did not do for you today.
Oh my gosh.
But what we have here is some liver, some raw bone marrow, some testicle. And you know what? I really love to share this. This is like what I hold in the highest regard. These are my favorite prizes, my favorite presents. So whenever I have the opportunity to meet someone new, I'm like, I know nothing better to give as a gift.
Okay.
And so this is it. So
I'm like, oh no. Okay.
If Liver King can share a piece of liver with you.
Yes. I don't get mad at me though if I hate it. Okay.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay.
You can hate how it tastes, but you won't hate how it makes you feel.
I'm already like, okay.
Cheers, my man.
Okay.
Just swallow.
It wasn't as bad. I think I went into it thinking it was going to be worse, and that made me like a little tricked there. But
the brain is powerful. But think about this: we've been eating this stuff since our inception. For 3 million years, we've been eating this. We just took this out of our diet. Our DNA, Our physiology is meant to be nourished with this kind of stuff. And so how much you want to bet? I want you to pay attention to how you feel over the next 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
See if the lights come on a little bit. See if the energy gets a little bit better, the drive, the determination, these things I talk about. Just pay attention to that because, again, your body expects this. The modern world has taken this out of our normal daily living. You want to try a little piece of the raw bone marrow?
Yes, I'm down. I had bone marrow for the first time ever last week. I loved it.
Was it cooked?
It was cooked. So I haven't had raw. They'd use like a flame thing, and it was like Slurpee. I don't know.
I always say don't let perfect be the enemy of good. I think raw is the best. Yeah, but you can, if you want it cooked, have it cooked. Cooked is delicious.
Okay, all right. That's good.
That's actually really good. You did a great job, Liver King Chef Lionel.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Wow. So you eat all this every single day?
I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to move on without getting the raw testicle. Let's get a piece let's get a piece of raw testicle. Hey, that's a really good piece. Try that piece.
Oh God, that's a big one. Does anyone have any water just in case? I'm like, the thing is, I'm the most squeamish eater ever, so it's funny that you're giving me this because I'm like, okay, here we go.
It's really mild. A lot easier than the liver even. The thing is, you know what it is. Once you can get past what it is.
No, no, I think it's like if you told me this was just like something else, I would be fine with it. But yeah, it's just the initial. But it doesn't taste bad. That tastes the most mild.
A lot of guests come over to our house. She doesn't tell them what it is.
Oh, really?
And we're like, hey, guess what it is? Some people say scallops or clams or like, and we're like.
That does taste like a scallop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so once again, this is the nourishment we've evolved with since the beginning of time. And we still need this now to express our highest and most dominant form in life and in business. And so I'm glad that we're able to get this out of the way. This is one of the 9 ancestral tenets. It's how we eat. We should cut out the processed food. We should cut out the liquid calories. We should cut out the seed oils. Listen, I know most people aren't going to do that. You're not going to do that. Most people aren't going to do that. So it's okay. Overlay this on top of what you're doing. And as you start feeling better from eating liver, how much you want to bet you're going to say, this Liver King guy's not a complete joke. Maybe I should do some of these other things.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't taste that bad, to be honest, in retrospect now. So, I don't know, you said 30 minutes, an hour, you can just immediately kind of usually feel a difference?
Some people feel a difference. It depends on your current nutrient status. Some people feel a difference in 5 minutes and 10 minutes. They feel a little bit more energy. They feel some warmth coming to them. And so, yeah, just pay attention to how you feel. I suspect most people try this for the first time and some lights start to come on a little bit brighter. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, my diet, you would be horrified, I think. I mean, over there I got, like, Funyuns and stuff like that.
I've been looking around.
It's criminal. I mean, at least in your eyes, I'd say for sure. But do you ever eat any, like, processed foods ever? Anything like that?
No, the 4th ancestral tenet is shield. Our early ancestors had to shield and protect themselves from real danger, like lions and neighboring tribes that wanted to kill them. Okay. Well, I walked into your place here, and I had to shield from your Captain Crunch. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's what that is up there. It's either Funyuns.
Captain Crunch, yes.
Yeah, all this stuff. And you know what, again, like, it's one step at a time. One step at a time means start with liver, see how that makes a difference. Start getting sun, get your bare feet connected to the earth. You know, you start doing these things. And this is why I want so many people to follow my Instagram stories, because I'm guiding you every day on what to do. And it's a reminder every day, these simple things that you could do every day. And so I don't eat processed foods, and I'm not suggesting really, I know how hard this is. Most people are not going to overhaul their life on day one. But some people are hurting so desperately. They're willing to try and do anything, but they don't know what to do. And so who would have known what was required of us to become the baddest mammalian predators that ever walked the earth? These are still the same things that work today. These 9 ancestral tenets, they don't cost anything. They're accessible to everybody, right? And you can execute on these right now and live a better life tomorrow. So once again, I don't eat the processed food, and I'm not telling everyone, hey man, cut this out right away, because again, they're not going to do that. But you can start with liver, you can tune into the stories, and then you can start ratcheting it up, because it's all about progression. Not perfection, right? We didn't start out perfect. I was eating processed food. And then Liver Queen, one day, she cleaned out the house.
Oh, really? Okay.
I couldn't believe it. I would eat the half-gallon, the half-gallon containers of ice cream?
Yeah.
There's an Oreo, cookies and cream is what it was called.
Okay.
And I would go and eat the whole thing. And she's throwing it all away.
Oh, my God.
And I'm thinking, oh, my God, am I never, ever going to do this again? And so, again, it's all about progression. You know, it's just one step at a time. Overlay this stuff. And then as you start feeling better, you're already kicking ass in life. You know how many people are not? You know, there's so many people, again, that are hurting so desperately. They're willing to try anything, but they don't know what to do. And so from first principle thinking, the way that our early ancestors lived, modern day primitive cultures live this way. We've been to the Amazon, Africa, Mongolia. We've been and lived with 6 or 7 different primitive culture tribes. They do all 9 of these ancestral tenets. They don't have any of these modern day material possessions. They got spears, bows. They got some very rudimentary shelters. But you know they're really kicking ass in life. You've never seen people so happy, so fulfilled, so content, and the kind of electricity they have sitting around a fire. We went to go visit with the Hadza. And
Where's that?
It was in Africa. It's a wild tribe.
Oh, wow.
The
Where
most
in Africa?
wild motherfuckers that you've ever met. Tanzania.
Tanzania.
And these guys, our guide does some kind of like call to them, and they call back to sort of signal the location. They're the only tribe that didn't give a shit about coming to greet us. And which was fine, right? We don't need to be greeted. But we go and we meet with them. They're smoking wild marijuana, sitting around this fire, having the time of their life.
Oh my God.
Trust me when I tell you, there's no screens. There's no video games. You know, there's no distractions. There's no sedatives that we call life today. I'm telling you, when you have this kind of fulfillment, when you know your roles and goals in life because your life depends on it, you gotta be successful in the hunt or else you don't eat. Right? You gotta be successful in the weapon making or else you don't eat. Yeah. You got to be successful with your primitive shelter, or else you're exposed to the elements. You know, so everybody knows their roles and goals in life. Like life depends on it. So all I'm saying is like, listen, I didn't invent this message. I wish I could take credit for it, right? But these are our ancestors. These are your ancestors. This is the way they lived for millions of years, and it works today. So I'm saying like, listen, everyone can live a better life. Everybody has potential, this primal potential to be better. You do, I do, we all do. But like I said earlier, some people are hurting so desperately, they're willing to do everything and they don't know what to do. And so go look at ancestral living, go look at the 9 ancestral tenets, start with liver, start learning these things, and you will live a better life.
It's insane. Wow. Okay. When did you first start getting into this? Like, have you always been like doing basically daily eating liver and whatnot? Or was this more of like a recent last couple of years that you kind of like shifted your worldview and diet and all that? Yeah.
As soon as I was born in the delivery room, I had the beard and my mom fed me liver. Yeah. And I came out with a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Everything, you know. No, you know, this is funny because someone made a video the other day and they showed my living 10 years ago.
Okay. Were you like skinny back then? Do you look like me? Or were you like jacked always?
You know what?
What were you like as a kid? Like as like a teenager?
Dude, so I started lifting weights around 8 years old.
Oh, really?
Around 8 years old, I started lifting weights. I realized that I could control some outcomes and some value in my life, but I got my shit handed to me between 10 and 15. I got beat up every day.
Oh, really?
And
like so, a nerd in school kind of vibe?
I was the only I was the only white kid there. I was tiny. I was a foot shorter than everybody else. Everyone else spoke Spanish. I didn't speak Spanish.
Where did you grow up?
It was in San Antonio, not in a good neighborhood in San Antonio.
Okay,
and by the way, I'm not asking for any sympathy. I'm like, this is the best thing that could happen in my life. I bet some of the best things that ever happened to you were the deepest struggles that you turned into wins.
Totally, yeah.
Because if you survive that, man, you got that. This is your gift.
Totally, yeah.
And so, no, I wasn't born out of the womb with a beard and all this stuff. It was all a progression. But I've been lifting weights for a long time. And 10 years ago, a video surfaced of just 10 years ago. And my wife and I thought, who the hacked our account? Who hacked our phones? Apparently, we have this really old YouTube account.
You just forgot about it?
Yeah, we had no idea. And our kids knew because the next morning, anyways, that doesn't matter. But we're looking at this stuff, and I'm like, my team is thinking, holy shit, what are we going to do? I'm like, you know what, holy shit, this is real life. Let's let the world see it. This is an actual transition from the guy who was a subprimal corporate guy trying to please everybody except for himself. That's my old life. Right.
Wow. Did you work in corporate prior?
I did.
What was your job? Like, do you have 9 to 5?
Not really like that. So my first job, I was a pharmaceutical rep.
Interesting.
They give you a territory. They're like, hey, go make this.
Okay. Like knocking on doors or like calling?
It was going into offices and trying to meet with the doctor, trying to convince him.
Oh, okay.
Hey, X drug is better than X drug.
Like United Health, or like was it like one of the major like pharmaceutical?
It was a major pharmaceutical company.
Okay.
Yeah, a big one. And actually, during that time period, I worked for the neuroscience division, going from psych ward to psych ward, and seeing kids and families that have attempted suicide, that were a danger to themselves and or society. And when you see how that impacts the family, right after that, I went to work for a medical device company to promote a device that was FDA approved, the first ever for intractable depression. And I'm meeting with people every single day who have these tracer wounds where they tried to shoot themselves. They survived it. You can see the scars.
You're in the hospitals, like with them in recovery.
Well, at this point, I'm not in the hospital and with them in recovery. At this point,
oh wow,
it's been a while longer. Now we're usually sitting in their living room, talking to them and their family to educate them more about this device and this treatment.
Wow.
And so I've been immersed with this sort of stuff for a while. And this was the corporate guy. You know, this wasn't a 9-to-5 guy. I was 15, 20 pounds lighter. I was eating processed food. You know, I wasn't living, my best life. And so, again, it's all a progression. This all started because about 15 years ago, maybe I'm off a year or two, ever since I started being 100% honest about the thing that I lied about taking steroids. I took steroids. I'm on steroids right now. This was wrong, and I've had the opportunity to come clean. And I'm sorry for doing this thing, for lying. But now I'm on a podcast, and I'm trying to recollect what year it was. Hey, I'm off a year or two. Sue me. This is not my intention to mislead anybody, right? And so my boys couldn't breathe. They were literally going to the hospital by ambulance in anaphylactic shock because they were allergic to everything. Dust, dogs, food, you name it. The doctors couldn't tell us, right? And they gave us the same solution over and over, more Benadryl, more EpiPen, the same. At some point, as a good cave dad, you're like, enough is enough. And we figured it out. We learned about ancestral living. And I learned what I was feeding them had a big impact on them being so sick.
Oh, wow.
So
your own children.
My own children.
Wow.
So this is really, I think, what started the major thrust. This really finally, after talking for 30 minutes, maybe answers your question. This is my true why in the world. My kids were sick. Ancestral living recovered them. And now you see the lights come on with them. You see this vibrancy, this personality. Prior to that was always a dulled down version. And you didn't know that there's other primal, wild, fun, excited, adventurous personality was in there. So she cleaned house. She threw away my cookies and cream ice cream. She threw it all away overnight. What are we going to eat? We started eating raw liver, raw bone marrow, egg yolks, bone soups.
Wow.
And then, so this was the whole trajectory. I'll summarize it by saying that's how it started. And then we started getting sun. And then we started taking off the shoes. Then we started learning about all of these 9 ancestral tenets. And so this has been a journey, one hell of a journey, 12 to 15 year journey that's still continuing. We're not perfect. It still continues.
Do your kids, like, I know when I was, 14, like, I, was eating, like, Cheez-Its and I still do occasionally, but, like, do your kids, what do they think of, like, the diet and whatnot? Are they, like, gung-ho on it? Or are they kind of, like, just, like, teenagers and they're like, like, what do they think of it?
I wish they were here. They just went home yesterday. They took off so I wish they were here. If you ask them if they like eating this, hell no.
Okay.
They don't. But they know the benefits of it, and they know what it was like to be sick as
yeah.
They don't want to go back to that. And then we have a good time when they see some of this other stuff. If they were here right now, I'd say, hey, bring over the Captain Crunch, bring over the Funyuns. Let's read what's on the back of there. Okay. And I guarantee you 90% of that you can't even say. Yeah, you can't say it. You don't know what it is. And a lot of it is genetically modified. And we're doing this experiment on ourselves. Again, listen, if you're kicking ass in life, don't change anything. But I told you these statistics earlier. 85% of the population right now struggles with self-esteem issues. 80% of the population struggles paycheck to paycheck. 70% are overweight, half are obese. 50% are on prescription medicine. 40% have or will get cancer. And 20% want to have kids and can't have kids. This is a big deal. Our primal purpose in life is to be healthy enough, to be fertile enough, to propagate our species. 20% of us can't do that today. So what I say is, hey, let's have some fun with the Funyuns. Let's read what's on the back of this thing. Does any of this seem natural to you? Yeah. We're doing this incredible experiment, and the world is hurting at record rates. So we really just educate them. Do they like eating this? No.
Okay.
But you know what they like to eat? They like to eat the double bacon cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
And then Liver King Chef Lino will also mix in some organs in these cheeseburgers. And you don't really taste the organs as much. You know what they really love? Their favorite food is sushi.
Oh, really?
And so thank God Liver King Chef Lino will make the primal sushi.
He's whipping up the good stuff. Primal sushi, what is that differ than normal sushi?
Well, it just doesn't have like sugar and what else is there?
Yeah, sugar's the main thing in the rice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a sweetener.
Sugar. Okay, interesting. Oh, so it's a special kind of rice that you use?
It's regular sugar, but sushi rice uses sugar.
Oh, duh. I'm like, you just use rice. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, is there a different rice I don't know of? Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
So no, listen, they don't like this.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what else they don't like. They don't like getting in a 36-degree continuous cold plunge. They
Oh
don't
my gosh.
They don't like working out twice a day.
How often do you do that cold plunge?
She does it every day. The boys do it once a week. If we're in Mongolia, they're going to do it in Mongolia. If we're with the Maasai, they're going to drink blood. If we're somewhere cold, we're going to take that opportunity because the regret is, man, I was in Mongolia. It was snowing. It was, negative whatever outside, and I didn't get cold. And I had this opportunity to do this thing. So what I just want to answer back is my kids don't like most of what they do because comfort is not good for the organism. And most of us don't run towards discomfort and hard shit, but it's this resistance. If you get in the gym, the physical resistance builds a stronger physical body. This thing happens intellectually, mentally, socially, emotionally, and spiritually. And so this is my job as a dad, to give them resistance, to give them hard shit to do every day. And so that I can affirm them with the depth of challenge, worth, and potential so that one day they come to believe in themselves. That's my job. So do I create an easy life for them? No. But then people want to know, do they play video games? I'll answer that. I don't let them do anything they don't earn. And if they've earned it, they get 40 minutes of video games in a day. As long as it's a cool, badass man game,
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I just want to get this off the bat here, elephant out of the room too. I know you had mentioned it earlier. How have you been doing in the last couple of weeks after all the PED stuff came out here? What do you have to say to your fans in general, and just what's been going on with the whole situation here?
Yeah, this has been tough. One of the toughest things I've ever been through in my life. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever done, to lie to people. I started lying with DMs answering this question. Then I went on impulsive. And I lied to Logan and Mike and George. And, I just felt like a piece of shit. I feel like a piece of shit, and again, I'm not asking for sympathy, but what I want to say is I feel like I let a lot of people down. I feel like I've let a lot of young people down. I have certain things that I had justified in my head previous, and which I won't share down unless you want me to, but this is why the mind is such an incredible weapon. I'm like, hey, I'm going to justify why I'm going to lie. And then the minute you start lying, you're just you're just digging yourself a bigger hole, right down to the grave. And so what I will share is the emails were leaked. And then when the emails were leaked, well, guess what? There's no debating this. I wrote these emails. When he read what I wrote, I'm like, I wrote all of this. I can't say somebody fabricated any of this because all of this was real. And so what it enabled me to do, it's like it fast forward accelerated my reality. Boom, this is your reality.
Did it just happen? Like you just were like, oh my gosh, this is going on now. Like, oh my gosh.
And immediately I was like, again, there's no debating this. Now I have the opportunity to live a better life, to be a better human, and I always said that Liver King had been trapped down in this cage. Liver King busted out of this cage, ate Brian Johnson, the corporate guy. That guy's dead. The truth is, Liver King came out and stuffed Brian Johnson in that cage. And Brian Johnson, his best qualities are coming out now. Like the vulnerable, the relatable, the human side, the side that I got dropped to my knees. I up. I was wrong about this. I do want to apologize to my audience. Everybody who believed in me, everybody that I've misled. I'm sorry for that. What I did was wrong. I lied, and I'm sorry. If you don't want to engage with my content anymore, this is my message back to my followers.
Gotcha.
Is you have to engage with the fact that the world is hurting at record rates, and there's a better life to live. I believe with my heart and soul, it's ancestral living. So if you're not going to follow this guy, please follow someone else like Andrew Huberman, like Paul Saladino, like Ben Greenfield, who's also advancing these 9 ancestral tenets. Follow somebody else, if you no longer want to engage with this guy. But I appreciate you asking about that because that's what's been going on. It's been hard as to deal with. It's been complicated. Most people think, oh, it's not complicated. Hey, man, you did it or you didn't.
Yeah, definitely like earth shattering. Yeah. Do you plan on going all natural now? Or
yeah.
Is that going to start like soon, or what's like a time frame on that, or is it just like at some point in the future you plan on doing?
You're the first person who's asked that.
The actual like time of date.
Yeah.
Like, give me a time.
You're the first person.
Do you have any exact time frame, or is it kind of just like in the future you plan on doing?
This year, by the end of this year, my plan is to not be in the gym 2 or 3 times a day.
Okay.
So that's sort of step one. And then I'm also working with some experts in the field that are going to help guide me in how to transition off. And so I don't know what that looks like yet because I'm meeting with one on Thursday. And then there's a couple of other guys. I want to get a second and third opinion on how to piece this together. I don't have my own plan because I want the experts to guide me. It might take a month, it might take 3, it might take 6. I don't know.
Can you just hop off? Like, is it hard to like, if you immediately hop off, would you have like a negative effect with like your health, or is it like dangerous in any capacity?
Well, this is what a lot of people are saying. I can't tell you how many DMs that are saying, don't do it cold turkey.
Okay.
You're going to be depressed. Your energy is going to suck. All the things that you're trying to fix and heal, guess what? You're going to have all of them. And you know what? Maybe I deserve that. You know, but people are like, hey, you have a...
I wouldn't say you deserve it. I mean, that's harsh.
Well, I would say I deserve a lot of and again, I own it. I own all of it. I take extreme ownership. I'm going to challenge you a little bit and say, you know what? I deserve everything I get right now.
Are your DMs crazy right now? Like, are they just like, do you not look at them? What?
I look at them.
You do?
I do, and it's a mixed bag. You know, from the beginning, Liver King always had a healthy amount of hate.
Yeah, well, I feel like anyone that's large and you obviously exploded onto the scene gets some hate. Like, I don't even show my face in videos that much, and I'm getting like hate. We're like, oh, your voice. I'm like, they'll just attack anything possible. So yeah, it just.
What would they say about your voice?
Oh, they just like, I mean, they're not like, oh, my voice is weird or anything like that, but like, they're just trying to grab onto anything like, oh, your voice is raspy today, or your voice is like, you're sounding like, I don't know, I'm just coming up with stuff, but like literally anything they can get, basically, people will hate on it. Like, just haters will hate. So,
well, I'll tell you, after I came forward and said, yes, all of this is true. This is my reality. There's a lot of emails, I would say 2 out of 10 that say, hey, dude, you're still lying. You actually have ab implants, or you had an ab.
People say that?
People have been saying that all the time.
how does that even happen? Ab implants?
Well, I just want to make this really clear. I'm the one who invented that joke in the first place.
Okay.
I invented that joke, and then it got loose. You know, people just would clip when I said, I have ab implants. Ha, 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 ha. That's a joke. No one showed that's a joke. It was just...
Oh, it's like a clip. Oh, it's like on a podcast, they'll clip like, I have ab... Yeah, okay.
And then I would get DMs.
Oh, okay.
Dude, you admitted it. And they would send me the clip, and it was the 2-second clip from Kenny KO, who clipped a 2-second clip and didn't clip the whole thing.
That's dirty. We won't do that to you. We don't run it like this on here. I feel like we moved here. We're not from LA, and like you go to LA, and people are just kind of like, I'm gonna get any kind of content out of you. Trust me, we don't do that over here.
Yeah, good. Well, listen, I don't mind it, and we've had a lot of fun with it. But that's a whole lot of what's coming through the DMs right now. I would say prior to a couple of weeks ago, 5 to 10% of the DMs were hate related.
Now what's that percentage?
I would say it's doubled.
It's
doubled. And a lot of the hates, hey, you're still a lie. You're still lying about the abs. And so we went to we're here in Beverly Hills. We went to a plastic surgeon yesterday. And we're like, hey, let's do a walkthrough. Hey, you know, do I have ab implants? Do I have any ab etch? And we're like, let's have some fun with this. Let's really show everybody. And I don't want to tell you what the answer is yet. Everyone's going to have to wait for the video to come out. But he does a pretty comprehensive overview.
An exam on you.
It was like 3 different tests that he did.
Oh my gosh, okay.
Yeah, but you know what? Thank God that there's like another 80% of DMs that say, you changed my life. What you did was wrong. You shouldn't have lied about it. I would have always followed these ways without you lying about it. I'm still going to continue to follow these ways. But I'm the guy that you talk about that couldn't lift my own weight. I couldn't lift somebody else's weight. I was never the husband that my wife married. I was never the father that my kids deserved. And now I'm getting into the gym and I'm figuring out how to fight, literally and figuratively. Now I can provide and protect for my family. And so when I get these DMs, so I'm all over the DMs because number one, I'm like, the hate, I deserve the hate. And I'm going to write back, I deserve all of that. I'm sorry for doing that.
Yeah, you owned up to it, like just straight up. Like I remember seeing the post and people were just like, okay. And I'm looking at the comments and people are like, well, at least he, like he admitted it straight up. You were like, here's what I did. So
yeah,
that's great. Yeah.
And so I'm all about looking at the DMs because again, it's giving me the opportunity to interact with these people individually, to apologize to them individually. But then again, like there's so many that I need to hear right now that say, hey man, I'm not going anywhere. And this is what you did for my life. And I'm going to spread this to everybody that I can, because this is what we really need for this message to be impactful, for me to do my job, for this message to spread across the world, and for people to execute at a deep level. I cannot be the only Liver King. I need hundreds of Liver Kings in their respective community, model teaching and preaching these 9 ancestral tenets. And so it's like, okay, once again, I'm not the only guy talking about this, right? There's other guys talking about this. I'm just a guy who packaged it really neatly in an organized way and made it my life to live this way. And so then we hired social media and we say, hey, social media, come over and document what we do. And I call this passive income, right? We're not, and some things we're like, hey, yeah, let's tie some balls to the back of the truck and we're going to pull that, right? But like most of what we show in the stories and a lot of the reels is just what we do.
You just like whip out the camera, we're already doing it.
Yeah. And then every once in a while, is Thomas in here? Thomas is like, hey, let's do that again. Like, well, you need to keep up with me, man. Right? we're not doing this because I bet you know how it is. It's like, to try and do that authentic thing the second time.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. It never comes out the same anyways, yeah.
Yeah, like let's just say none of the cameras are recording, right? Which I hope they are. Are they on? Yeah. And then afterwards, we say, hey, let's do this whole thing again. Yeah, we'll do it all again, right? But it's like...
Wouldn't be the same, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to ask you also, what do you think of vegetarians or vegans?
The first thing I'll say, if they're kicking ass in life, let them go kick ass in life.
Okay.
Who the am I to say anything? Second thing I'll say is you'll never find a modern day primitive culture tribe that does that.
Okay.
Every modern day primitive culture tribe who, once again, they're kicking our ass in life. They don't have depression, anxiety. They're not crippled into their old age. They're running up and down mountains in their 80s.
So everyone that is like that, they're all eating meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're using their and they're riding a rocket ship into the grave. All of them.
Is PETA ever mad at you? Does PETA ever like get in your DMs?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, they all do. They all do.
Yeah,
and they especially come after Liver King Chef Lionel.
Yeah. Are you getting like death threats from PETA? Really? Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
They hate this right here. Oh, my gosh. They're in everyone's DMs. That's wild, though. You specifically, they're like... Oh, my gosh. That's wild.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say is, once again, you know the statistics. I won't say them again, but most of the world is hurting at record rates. So we already know that most people need to do something differently. And anything that you think that you're getting from a vegetable, you can get this from nose to tail nourishment. And you can get it in a more bioavailable form without the plant chemical defense systems. And I'll leave you with this. Animals have teeth, claws, fangs, hooves, horns, and they can run and they can fight and they can right?
Yeah.
Plants can't do that. But they don't want to be eaten either. They also have a biological imperative, which is to be healthy enough, to be fertile enough to propagate their own species, right? They're designed by default. So they have plant chemical defense systems. They slowly are doing damage to you so that 20% of us can't even reproduce, right? The goal is let's upregulate this plant chemical defense system to make the threat eventually go away because we can't run. And so somebody with an autoimmune condition really needs to take a hard look. What am I eating that's causing the autoimmune condition? And the wildest thing, again, if you're a vegan, vegetarian, go kick ass in life, got no issues with you. But if you got an autoimmune condition, if you have depression, right? If you got massive issues, which a lot of people do, what I suggest is go on a hardcore carnivore diet, an animal-based diet. Try that for 30 to 60 days. Most people have such incredible success with that. I'm in podcast rooms and someone's like, I did that. My psoriasis went away.
Wow.
And I'm like, we need to hear more people talking about this. And so, listen, you're not going to shut this guy up. You know, there's a vegan agenda, right? And I see it going everywhere. And they're trying to make things that look like meat.
Yeah, like beyond meat.
That have no meat.
Have you ever tried one of them?
Well, the only thing, I go to the store sometimes to buy as much as I can to save everybody else.
Okay.
And
I saw that video with the pretzels that you did on TikTok. And you literally throw that. It's so funny, honestly.
Yeah.
For those that didn't know, like this lady's selling pretzels.
Oh yeah.
He buys them all and then just throws them away in the trash. Yeah.
And you know, there's a big crowd there, and I was like, oh my god, how much am I gonna get from this?
It was
crowd?
savage. It was savage. I mean, I think it's funny, honestly.
But
you bought it all, so like, who cares?
That's right. They're mine.
But
then we'll buy some of those patties and take them out to the ranch and just use them for target practice.
Oh, like you'll toss them up there like a shotgun?
Yeah, we'll have a good time. But then I feel really bad for the land. I'm like, land, you don't deserve this.
Well, it's made of plants, allegedly, right? So what wouldn't it? I don't know if it would even matter. Oh, because you don't even want that.
Well,
on
there's
there.
a whole lot of other horrific stuff in there. It's not just plant based.
Okay.
You know, if you were to look at again, you can't you can't even pronounce
There's
a lot
of
those.
sodium, like a lot of sodium, right?
Yeah, sodium's not so bad. You know, we evolved actually with a lot of people have made sodium the bad guy. Sodium's not the bad guy, but there's a whole lot of other stuff in there that you wouldn't even put in dog food.
What advice, briefly, would you give your 20-year-old self? Like, if you could go back in time and sit yourself down, what would you say? Like, you know, just best piece of advice.
Yeah.
For those watching, like, what would you recommend as the top pick in your eyes?
One thing,
One thing. Yeah, one thing.
Because that's really easy. It's start eating liver because liver is king. I mean,
okay, maybe two things. Maybe two things. I guess I could have seen that.
The second thing would be continue to lift heavy and get a six pack, because when you lift heavy, when you really lift heavy and you get to know what strength is, this is not about our ability to impose our force of will, which is important, right? A man is purpose built for physical strength, to provide, to fight, and to protect for his complementary opposite and his respective tribe. We are designed. Again, this is our biological imperative. Plants have their own, this is ours. But when you really lift and you get to know strength, you realize the process that got you there is active suffering, active struggling, relentless discipline and effort. And now you've unlocked this process to point that at social strength, emotional strength, mental strength. Now you can go create a business. Now you can go develop a relationship. Because now you're going to realize, man, this relationship, it doesn't just happen like that. Being an entrepreneur doesn't just happen like that, right? It's hard work every day with laser focus, knowing exactly what your role and goal is. I know I said a lot, but first thing is three things. It's start with liver because liver is king. Lift heavy, get yourself a six pack. Figure out that process that unlocks your success. Point that at whatever role and goal you have in life and you'll achieve. The last thing I would say is learn your why in the world. Without your why in the world, you don't have a fight. There's no altruistic unite. You're lost. You're aimless. You know your why. This is why we're here. This is why we were there earlier. How much you want to bet you focus on this why? A huge part of your day, every day. You know where to point your energy at. So you don't have to go get sedated and distracted with video games and drugs and other mindless right? And so start with liver, lift heavy learn your why in the world, make your why public. The people around you will know what your why in the world is, and then you'll build a tribe of other true believers that share in the same why, and then take massive action in one direction without pivoting. Because the people that pivot every 6 months, I got this new idea. Let me go do this other thing.
Yeah.
Right? If they had just gone linearly, they would have gone up. Okay. And so I know you asked for one, there's about five.
I love it. Do you plan on being in any TV shows or anything like that?
Yes.
Oh, have you been in any?
We're in the middle of one.
Oh, really?
So it hasn't aired yet.
Okay.
We actually haven't. I say we're in the middle of it. We haven't officially started taping, but it's with the best network.
No way.
This whole thing is
you're probably
such
under
a gift.
NDA and can't give the specifics.
There's all that stuff, but pretty soon the world's going to know about it, because again, my goal is to make sure this message goes mainstream, far and wide. People execute on it, right? And so how am I going to do that, right? How I'm doing it is I'm building 100 companies quietly in 100 different
100
categories.
companies.
Right now I got 90 more on the horizon.
When did you start your first company?
When?
Yeah.
Oh, we've been in business actually since we got 18 years ago. We started our first company.
Oh my gosh! Entrepreneur.
And then after that, it's like, okay, that is one strategy. But now another strategy is, okay, we're doing pretty good there. Let's start Liver King, the public figure. Let's see if we can reach a bigger audience like that. And then through doing this, a lot of guys came up to us and said, hey man, you actually live this way. You're crazy as the world doesn't live this way. They need to hear your message. Let's make a documentary. And when you hear this enough times, and then somebody with all the credentials comes to you and says, hey, here's the backing, here's how we're going to do it. Like, oh, and trust me, we love our lives. You think we want to go film a reality show of our lives? And so what I've said to them is, hey, listen, if you're going to record what we do, and again, it's passive income, because we're not going to try and show something that we're not. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't necessarily say Viking movie. I would say this is our own movie, right? This is our life that we want to let the world into, to see if you execute and you do these things, and these things are not hard to do. They're accessible to everybody. And when you see how my family is, when you see Liver Queen laughing and making fun of the boys and complimenting the boys, and the next thing's insulting the boys, and it goes back and forth, and the games that we play with each other, the closeness that we share, the chemistry that we share in our family. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. My physique is the least impressive thing about me. What comes out of my mouth, I would say, is the least impressive thing about me. You get to know my family. You get to know my queen, my boys. Like, this is what is the most impressive thing about me. And I look forward to letting the world in on that.
Amazing. So I want to know, in public, has anyone ever tried to run up on you, like fight you? Have you been in a crazy fight? Is that something that happens ever?
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Really?
People mouthing off all the time. Usually they're walking the other direction in a crowd.
Okay.
It's very rare that somebody wants to confront me face to face. And I'm fine with that too. Somebody made a comment the other day, and I went to search out who it was, and I said, hey, let's talk about it. Why don't we just talk about it? And I want to make this really clear. I don't back down from a fight. But my fighting days, like, I don't know if you know about like this trajectory, this arc. You got the lost men, the wanderers that don't know they're fighting the world. This is your wandering phase. right? And then you have your warrior phase. This is your archetype where I'm ready to fight everybody. And then you have your king phase where you and I aren't going to get in a physical fight.
Yeah. Do you think I'd beat you in a physical fight?
Well,
I don't know.
This is really not even in my paradigm of thinking. Like, can I handle myself still? Like, I went through more than a decade of my life in that warrior phase, in that fight phase. I know that I can do that. But what's important to me is this message, right? What's important to me now is like what I fight for is to unite with a cause, to acknowledge that the world is hurting. There's a better life to live. So you want to pick a fight with me? Hey man, let's talk about it. I'm going to ask you, what do you live for? What are you excited about? You know, who do you fight for? You want to fight me? You're telling me you want to point your energy at fighting me? Because I guarantee you're wiring the world. If it's to show up for your family, to be a better dad, to be a better husband, to be better to yourself, well, we have way more in common than we have in difference. So let's talk about that. Let's unite for that stuff. So people try and pick a fight all the time. But here's the thing. It does take two to tango, right?
Yeah.
And I am capable of physically fighting.
So if someone runs up to you like and they're really wanting to go for it, you can obviously like just destroy them. But like you're not looking for a fight ever, obviously. It's just people like clout chasers calling you out in a crowd.
Well, this happened at the Cowboy Christmas just the other day. You hear, oh, he's on steroids, right? And I'm fine with that. But you know, it was the most unsuspecting person in the world who said it. It was an old 55-year-old lady.
Oh, really?
And let me tell you what my takeaway was, right? And I said, hey, ma'am, you know, let's talk. Let's just have a talk. She goes, oh, no, I don't need to. And I said, well, I think we should have a conversation. She goes, no, it's okay. And she walked away. But how much you want to bet she never knew my name before this came out? Guess what? Now you know my name. And in 6 months, you're going to start realizing that there's some value coming from this guy. And I hold no ill will towards her. Well, the first thing I would have said to her is, I deserve that. Everything you did is justified. I deserve all of that. I own that. I'm sorry to you. But don't let the messenger overshadow the message that the world is hurting. You probably have some of these conditions. If not you, your kids or your grandkids. There's this really simple way to live. Let's talk about that thing. So you see what I mean is you want to pick a fight with me? Cool. Try to pick a fight with me. But how much you want to bet once we start talking, we're going to unite to a better cause.
There we go. Awesome.
Liver King out.